And here we are, the welcome screen to Baldur's Gate 3. Now, I was hoping this was going to be a blind playthrough. Unfortunately, as is often the case when you try and record a game, it's taken about 520 runs to try and get the sound and other technical issues sorted out. So I've been through the first hour, including setup, probably about, I don't know, 453 times. So it's not going to be blind, at least for this first episode. All future episodes hopefully will be, assuming that everything is okay with this run, and this is the run we go with. But yeah, nice screen there, look. That's a nice place to start your adventure, really. Or end up, I don't know whether you're going to end up there. So let's get on with this. And the music kicks in. This music was very difficult to balance. Very difficult indeed. The music in this game, and most of the effects really, they're either like really, really quiet, you can barely hear them, or they're boomingly loud and it's like, and so when you're just talking at a sort of flat level pace the whole time, it's almost impossible to get it so that it's always got music, but at the same time it's not overriding my ramblings. Anyway, hopefully I've got all that sorted now. It's a nice little cave here. I think this is lovely, very evocative. Exactly the kind of cave you'd want to wander out of in a Dungeons and Dragons game. There we go. And so, new game. Oh no, not new game yet. I do apologise. I'll show you the options I've changed. So karmic dice I've turned off, because I want an authentic dice roll experience. And this karmic dice says it balances things, and I don't want any balancing in my game really. And if the karmic dice is just covering up for a badly implemented dice algorithm, then I might come back to this. But at this moment in time, I'm going to ride the risky waves. And auto saves I've put down to 1. Excuse me, because in my previous experience is that a lot of games want you to have like 5 or 6 auto saves, and all that does is lumber up your system with lots of gigabytes of pointless data, which often leads to more crashes than if you don't have any autosaves. And the only real purpose of an autosave is if the game crashes. Because anyone who plays a D&D game, a computer PC game, then they should be fully aware that you're going to need to save all the time. That goes hand in hand with the genre, really. So you should be making your own saves and just relying on one of these for in case of a crash, really. Panning speed and edge panning. I've turned edge panning off, and because I like edge panning in games. Whether it'll be irritating in this one, whether it's good for this game, I don't know, but I've turned it on. I put it on slow though, and see how I get on with that. Keybinds, haven't changed anything there. Video. This might upset some graphic whores out there, and I do apologise to every single one, but I've turned off VSync, I've turned off anti-aliasing and fidelity FX sharpening. Because I'm not really a graphics whore, and I don't mind if I lose some finer details or a little bit of, what do they call it, tearing. Because I'm more interested in the game than the graphics. I apologise to people who get obsessed about those kinds of things. Frame rate was defaulted to 60. So I've left it at 60. I don't know whether to go higher or lower, or again, see how it gets on. Custom, and then highs and ultras for all the other settings basically, and I've left bloom on. I don't know if bloom offends some people, and seems to be one of those things you either love it or hate it. I haven't really got much experience with it, so this would be a good way for me to figure out which camp I sit in. And yeah, this is my current sound settings, and whether this will actually work this time or not, fingers crossed. My accessibility features, oh no, the interface, here we go, which will be my accessibility features, is that I've just turned all the text up. Turn the size of all the text up, because I'm really old now and I don't like trying to squint my eyes at tiny little bits of wording on the screen. And you see that this text is alright, I can cope with this, this is manageable, that's quite small, but computer games, they're, you know, no matter how big your monitor is, they'll always put text in it that's sort of like half the size of this. And you have to get your microscope out, well, not your microscope, your magnifying glass out to figure out what it's saying. And you'd hope there'd be one of these for all text, any written word in the game, whack it up in size. I suppose that might upset things, but I've maximised all I can. And that's all that done. What other things were there? Oh, in gameplay, what was the oh yeah, flying creatures. This is a bit of a spoiler, I suppose. It's telling us we're going to be flying at some point and we'll need to follow flying creatures. And this is quite unusual for a D&D RPG computer game. And yeah, it's sort of a Larian thing. They've done a lot of flying in their previous non-D&D games. Most notably in Divinity 2, which weirdly enough is the one Divinity game that I didn't manage to get through due to technical difficulties, you know, like 15 years ago. So it got put on my back burner and I haven't ever got back to it really. What was the interface, or was it, are we up to accessibilities now? Oh yeah, and so my accessibilities are just the text thing again. It's the same thing, but we've got another spoiler here. Show sexual and violent cinematics. So it's telling us there's going to be sexual and violent cinematics, which is understandable because the Baldur's Gate series is all about the sex, and that's how it makes itself unique from the other D&D computer games, in that you've got the main plot and the story in the game you go through, but there's like this secondary element where you're supposed to romance NPCs, and they did that in Pathfinder as well, but it's not something I'm massively motivated by. Normally when those texts come up I just sort of say, nah, you're alright, I'll continue my quest. I think that's a bit of a distraction. But it might just be that I've never come across a NPC that's taken my interest, so I'll leave it on just in case, you never know. And show genitals. So we're going to have the option for showing genitals, presumably in the sex scenes or as my character. So I'm going to leave those on because that sounds fun, and that's kind of what makes the Baldur's Gate games unique from other D&D games. Right, so that's my options done. So new game, and I'm not going to go tactician because I'm one of those people who doesn't understand why people just want to watch their games. For me, the whole concept of a game is to play a game. And I know that sort of like computer games are blurring the lines between films and games. But I'll hang on in there and try and keep playing games, which means I want a challenge. And yeah, balanced is probably going to be too easy, that's my guess, that's the problem. But tactician will probably put on loads of HP bloat and nonsense that's not playing by the rules, and I also want to play by the rules. So we don't want Iron Man mode or anything. So custom. Standard rule set, so yeah, that's hopefully playing by the rules. Enemy aggression. Now tactician here sounds the best. Enemies will attack ruthlessly and efficiently. And if an enemy is not attacking ruthlessly and efficiency, then what's the point of them being there? I mean, that goes without saying, really. But however, here for tactician it says hostile characters will be stronger and harder to kill, which sounds like HP bloat. If it's not, I don't know. I could Google these to find out, but I'm so desperate to avoid spoilers. I've avoided spoilers for 2 years now. But I've been waiting to upgrade my rig, and so I've had to wait 2 years, and I've avoided all the spoilers, all the news reports, articles, forum posts, you know, looking up questions, anything really. Even if people start talking about it, I just stick my fingers in my ears, you know. Buried my head in the sand. So I could look this up, but I don't want to at this point in time. So keep enemies and allies alike at the same level of strength. So hopefully that's not level scaling, and hopefully that's just as it should be. Enemy loadouts, again tactician, it says enemies will employ advanced spells and items. Well, I don't want a level 1 wizard firing fireballs at me. I'm hoping that a level 1 wizard would use the level 1 spells at me, so I'm a bit tentative in going tactician there because that sounds like breaking the rules. Additional combat mechanics, it says tactician, some encounters become more complex and difficult. And I don't know what, if this means improved AI, I'm happy to go for it. But if it means waves, I don't like waves. You've just defeated the enemies, and then it just sends out the exact same bunch of enemies a second time, and you think, well, I've just proved I can kill them, now I've got to do it all over again with half my health points. And I don't like that, and I'm worried, because if I go tactician, because I do want complex AI, if that's what that's saying. But balance, it says the default encounter complexity for Baldur's Gate 3. So that's what they've... Oh, I don't know, this is difficult, isn't it? I'm going to leave that on balanced for now, and if it is too easy, come back to that, I suppose. That's core rules, that's good. And I'm going to have enemy critical hits on, because of course. Why wouldn't you? And yeah, I'm going to take the 1s and the 20s. You know, I'm going to take them on the chin. Because that's core rules. And disabled free first strikes, no death saving throws, and 1 thing per rest. No 4 heals on a short rest. Trading modifier, that's something new I haven't seen in a computer game like this before. And surely, you know, this would be an incredible way to completely butcher the game's balance, really. Because it's defaulted to 2.5, which is good, but if you put it all the way down here, then the trader's buying stuff off you at the same price you buy it back, so they wouldn't exist as a business. And if you put it all the way here, you'd never be able to afford anything. You know, you'd just be able to afford a +1 sword at the end of the game. So I'll go with that, really. Default. Multi-classing, I'm going to leave this on. I've never multi-classed in any D&D computer game ever, and you know, I've never felt the need to, and I enjoy maximising my class to get everything the class can do. I'm aware that it doesn't necessarily enable the best min-maxing of the game, but I've never struggled to get through a game without it. However, this game might be different. I might get tempted to multi-class in this, so I will leave it on just in case. And then there's all these dice roll things. They're all unchecked. I can't remember what they were on default now, but there we go. So that's everything, isn't it? We can start the game. let's get into the first cutscene. Or is it the second cutscene? Oh, I don't know. Here we go, this is all reminiscent of the Aliens films, where the aliens put face huggers on their cocooned victims. And in this game, it's the same kind of thing, but you get an eye hugger rather than a face hugger. And there we go, a bit of additional sound effects for you. And this is going to be my playable character, I assume. And there we go. Right, so I'm going to be, got a choice of a male or female here. I'm going to be playing a male. I don't always play males, sometimes I'll play females. I used to enjoy playing a female in Neverwinter Nights for some reason, I don't know why. But I suppose it depends what character models they have, plays a big part. I suppose I fancied one of the Neverwinter Nights character models for the ladies. So yeah, bloke for this one, and going to go with a custom character. I never go with pre-made characters. I always choose my own. I mean, that's half the fun really. I don't know how people can play an RPG and then not create a character, but each to their own. Not going to get angry at them for it. It just seems to me to be a bit weird. Maybe if it's their first one ever, I don't know, but they're not going to learn if they do that. Anyway, so I've had a look through all of these, and the one that's going to suit my character is going to be a half-elf. There he is. And the reason I've gone for a half-elf is because in 5e, 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, they're really big on light and dark. So you get disadvantages fighting in the dark. But a half-elf has the all-important dark vision, while maintaining a movement speed of 9. But most importantly, it has this Fey ancestry. So my character is going to be really crap at sort of mind-affecting saving throws. And as we saw from the intro there, mind flayers are probably going to play a part in this game. Maybe quite a big part, I don't know. And they're going to be messing with my mind. So I need all the help I can get, being as I'm not going to have the stats to help me. So Fey ancestry, I get advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and I can't be put to magical sleep. That'll be a great help. And he has all the weapons and stuff. See, if I went with a human, I don't get the dark vision, I don't get the Fey ancestry. So there we go. And the thing that really sold me to the half-elf was the wood half-elf, which absolutely perfectly fits the character I'm intending to play. I'm going to be playing somebody who relies on movement speed a lot. And the wood half-elf gets the additional movement speed. It says 1.5 there. I'll take all I can get. And my class is going to be Barbarian. When I first loaded this up, I thought, class Barbarian, how did it know? Good heavens, Google AI is getting a bit too advanced for its own good there, isn't it? Knowing that before I'd even chosen, but of course it's just in alphabetical order, and I just happen to want to play a Barbarian in this game. And the reason is, prior to 5th edition I never played Barbarians. I'd sometimes have them in sort of like games where you could create your entire party, but I wasn't enamoured by them. But I've become enamoured by them from the 5th edition experiences I've had in Solasta. I've had an awful lot of fun with Barbarians in Solasta, so I'm going to see how they fare in this game. And Barbarians rely on movement speed and having lots of hit points. So they rush around the battlefield, slapping things about, not having to worry too much about attacks of opportunity because they've got a huge health pool. And yeah, good for rushing up to mages hiding in corners and all that kind of thing. And they have this unarmoured defence, so instead of lugging around armour, my constitution and my dexterity goes towards my armour class rather than just my dexterity. So by pumping constitution, which is going to be his primary skill attribute, you're also pumping your armour class. So that's a 2 for 1, that's a win-win in my book. And background, a Barbarian can go with quite a lot of these. You could have a Barbarian Charlatan, a Barbarian Criminal, a Barbarian Entertainer and a Barbarian Folk Hero. You know, Folk Hero, that would suit the Baldur's Gate vibe, where it always turns out you're in some way the special one, you know, you've got some god hiding in you or something or other, you know, so, but animal handling won't be useful to me. But, so Outlander, you know, pretty much the obvious one for a Barbarian is going to be my choice for athletics, because he's going to be good at running. That's his thing. And so we go on to abilities, and this bit here, it seems we can swap them around. I didn't realise this until very recently, and yeah, but that all looks kind of, so I get +2, one plus 2 and 1 plus 1. This is slightly confusing me at this point in time because I thought you had to have them specific to your race. I didn't know you could put them anywhere. And yeah, I can't put them both into the same one, but I can put them anywhere how I like within that. So yeah, it's started me off with, what did it start me off? There is the default. And I'll start off down here because my fella's not going to be very charismatic. He's a barbarian, he spends most of his time in the wild, he runs around a lot, he's a very sweaty person. Personal hygiene isn't his main priority, so, and he doesn't talk to people too much apart from, you know, circle round that pig so I can go round the other side and we can catch it for dinner, that kind of stuff really. Maybe they'll tell stories round the campfire, but he's not the main storyteller. Wisdom and intelligence, they're just going to be average. Pure, normal, average. He spent too much time making sure he's good at hunting to be bothered with matters of the mind. And it started us off with 1 each here, all on odd numbers, because I assume it's going to give you a +1 at some point, and that's when it's expecting you to decide what you want to focus in. But I already know what I want to focus in, and I don't need that much strength, to be honest. I want to pump up the dexterity and constitution, but I don't want strength to go below 16, so if I go like that and it's like, no, that's too low. So I want to get strength up to 18 at some point in the game, but in the early stages 16 is fine. And so giving these two just 1 more point each, that's given me an armour class of 5 to start with instead of 3, which will be a great help. If he gets a shield in the early game, that'd be the equivalent of running around in half plate, and he's not wearing anything, so that's what I want really. And that's that for that bit. Now, yeah, too buff, too skinny. I thought there'd be a slider here or something, but it seems you've got a choice of too buff. He doesn't look very athletic. He looks like he's well strong, but not necessarily somebody who could do 1500 metres at a good pace. But this guy, yeah, he looks like he could do the 1500 metres, but he doesn't really look like he could wield a two-handed axe once he got there, so ideally I'd have wanted something sort of like halfway between those two. Never mind, just what it is. And the choice of voices, they all sound fairly similar, but I've gone for the third one because it seems to be the deepest one. And don't care, I mean that face seems fine, don't need to change that. Blush tone, that seems fine, don't need to change that. Maturity, I wanted him to, you know, not look too youthful and not look too old. I wanted him to be sort of like, you know, he's been out hunting with the gang, you know, maybe 5 or 10 years. He's not the chief, but, you know, he's got a bit of experience. He's not just going to, you know, go blindly into unusual circumstances without a bit of course knowledge. But that doesn't seem to, that slider doesn't seem to change much, and freckles didn't change much, so I'm not really going to bother with them. And, yeah, genitals, this is interesting, this is exciting, this is what Baldur's Gate's all about, so let's hide his clothes. And yeah, we can have a look at his genitals, how about that, swirl him round there. Have a look at his bum, he's got a ponytail, I didn't realise that. There we go. Get all the angles we can, and yeah, so I'm not sure when the game will require him to be naked, but maybe that's just for cutscenes. But I had a look at all the penises, and yeah, they all seem to be much of a muchness, really. He's not going to be somebody who's had surgery, so that's that out. And yeah, I'll just go with the default, really. I can't really see it. Let's put his clothes back on there. Body art, he's not going to have any body art, can't be bothered. The golden eyes do look good, I have to admit. That does look really nice. However, I'm going to be a barbarian, and his thing's going to be raging and, you know, getting into a blood red rage. So I'm going to give him red eyes, if that ever comes into play, that we get a close-up of his eyes. Hopefully he'll be raging at that point as well, and it'll work even better. And then we go to makeup. That's all, yeah, it doesn't... And yeah, just this unkempt sort of mess that he's currently rocking is pretty much what I was going to go for, and it's the default, so I don't think this fella's going to have any particular, you know, hairstyle. He's going to just get it all shaved off every now and again and then grow it back. And when it does grow back, he's not going to be too bothered about it. I didn't realise I had a ponytail, even that's a bit too excessive, really. You know, he doesn't want that getting snagged on anything when he's out and about. So there we go, let's stop spinning around, there we go. And facial hair. I mean, to go with the hair, he should sort of like have equivalent scruffy beard, but none of the beards really, they look quite horrible, really. None of them really fitted what I was imagining for the character, so I'm just going to stick with the shaved there. He's so hardcore, he shaves with his great axe, you see. There we go. And that's all done, so we can proceed now and give him a name. You can spend hours deciding on a name for a character, and it is a lot of fun deciding on the name for a character. But recently I've been going for floral inspiration, and the natural world is great for quickly thinking of a name for a character, so barbarians I've been calling Bramble, which is a good, for a male barbarian, that's a good male sounding name. And it's also a wild plant, a wild fruit. It grows underground in these great long tendrils of roots, and then just pokes up whenever it's ready, wherever it feels like, and gets really big really quick and forms a hedge if there's lots of it, and then fruits come out. And if you pick the fruits, you know, you'll get scraped by all the massive thorns on the stalks. So it's sort of like tempting you in with all these lovely fruits, but it's all covered in all the most horrible nasty thorns. You get scraping, you know, maybe even some blood dribbling out of you. You know, that's the price you pay for their fruits, you know. And yeah, you leave your garden wild for a year, and you know, around where I live, loads of bramble will just start overgrowing everything. And so that's ideal really for the old barbaric wild man. So proceed there. Now this is a new thing. This is going to be unique to this particular game. Never seen this before in any other game. I have no idea what it wants, what the Guardian is going to be. Even in the she doesn't appear in the opening segment of the game, so I don't know really. So I'm just channeling Pathfinder Kingmaker here, and they had a halfling that was narrating your story. So if it's anything like that, I'll just go with that. Then I kind of know where I am. And this lady here, she's stealthy and sociable. So I'm stealthy, which matches me, but I'm going to be unsociable. And if it's a player character, she can be the sociable one. There we go, and don't need to change it. What they've delivered me here is pretty much acceptable to me, so I don't need to change anything. So I shall venture forth. Another cutscene. And these octopus things, they are Dungeons and Dragons version of a Cthulhu monster. They're called a mind flayer. Have I said that already? I don't know. Ah, the tentacles of power. And what a superpower that is. Get out of that. Teleportation tentacles. And that is a fantastic design for a ship. That is really good. I like that. And there's the dragons part of the Dungeons and Dragons. The teleportation tentacles obviously don't work against the dragons though. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. Right, and that's that cutscene, and now we go to the crash landing. And I assume this lady here is going to be our companion at some point. This half-orc lady, half-orc, I think she's going to be a martial type, that's my guess. These games often give you a martial type as your first companion, because so many people will pick a wizard. It'll be very difficult to balance early combat around just one wizard on their own. And that's a lot of imps. You can lock your... Oh, I didn't get time to read that tooltip. Your spells will react with the environment. Oh no, I didn't get time to read that one. That is one advantage of upgrading your rig. You don't get very long loading screens, but of course I can't read the tooltips now. That's a trade-off I'm happy with. And there I am. Oh, yeah. Because I've got the screen slidering on, it zoomed me over here because I put the mouse over here during the cutscene.
What to do?
Let's go back there. Journal updated. Right. I'm going to be playing as this character, not as me. So if you get frustrated by me not doing something, it's probably because this character wouldn't do it. But anyway, he's just come out of his pod. He's completely bewildered. He doesn't have a clue what's going on. He's looking around in himself thinking, Jesus Christ almighty, I am completely flummoxed. So he's just going to stand there and survey the scene for a bit, get his bearings. Coincidentally, that does that does assist what I want to do at this point in time, because let's have a look at these buttons. There's my journal. Find a way off the Nautiloid. We've been abducted by mind flayers and infected with some kind of parasite. We need to find a way off this ship. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Inspiration. This is a very Larian thing. Haven't seen this before in any other D&D game. And if I do athletic things, because that's my Outlander background, or survival things, I get inspiration points which I can use to improve my dice rolls. Or re-roll my dice rolls. Not too bothered about re-rolling my dice rolls, but yeah, I'm willing to play along. If I get a 1 or whatever, might be useful. No dialogues yet, tutorials. There's the map, quest markers and all that. There's no chests in this list that I can see. In Solasta, you go into the map a lot because that's where it tells you where all the treasure chests are. I might use this one at some point, see how it goes. And let's have a look at my inventory. So stats. Yeah, athletics really good, stealth really good, perception and survival okay, sleight of hand and acrobatics okay, and absolutely rubbish in all the thought and intelligence based stuff. I probably would have liked to have some points in nature, truth be told, because he does know his flora and fauna, but that's we just couldn't really find anything useful for that in the character creation rather. And here we go, movement speed. This is going to be his most important stat. He's got 11, so it's rounded up my 1.5 bonus to 2. Fantastic, even better. So he's going to be running across the screen whenever possible, hopefully. And that's all that. Now this bit here I'm a bit confused about, because you can swap between clothings. And like, so he's not wearing both of those, like he's not wearing 2 sets of boots, and he's not wearing 2 overalls. I mean, this is just peasant attire. He wouldn't wear this anyway. This is his barbarian get-up. But I realised that it's this bit here. You can wear a spare set of clothing, or have it like in a quick bar or something. And I can't imagine this is going to work in combat. I mean, you wouldn't like say to your enemy, just hold on a minute, stop bashing me for a moment, I'm just going to, you know, change clothes for a minute, you know, I'm in the wrong clothes, and they're like, okay, fine, get on with it. But it might work in combat, I don't know. So I'm guessing maybe it's for when you're in one of the cities and some deranged official wants you to wear nice clothes in certain buildings or something, I don't know. But anyway, that's what he's going to wear. The underwear, that's fun. I think that's hilarious. That is a bit of realism. People always joke that, you know, why don't characters have underwear in games? And this one's given us the underwear. And if you click on it to examine it, this is hilarious. It's a French horn. I love it. I'm assuming that's a French horn, and that's the joke, 'cause it doesn't look like a pair of underpants, but it does look like a French horn. And so, yeah, let's take those off and have a look at our fella. He does indeed go nude in there. And he's striking a manly pose. There we go, he's all set for the artist's easel there. And looking like the veritable Greek god that some artists might paint him as when he's finished his adventure. But yeah, so they kept the axe on board. He's holding the axe up by the power of his bum cheeks there. He's honed and trained his bum cheeks for many years, to the point where he can now carry a great axe between them. Now that should be an Olympic sport, really. How far can you run with a great axe wedged between your bum cheeks? Anyway, I could keep him naked, because I'm playing a barbarian and he's got unarmoured defence. Effectively, his skin is his armour. So I don't need to wear clothes. However, I'm playing the character, not me. I'm not doing a meme run. And this fella here is experienced. He's seen himself and other barbarians try and be naked in the wild, and it doesn't tend to work out too good for them. You know, when they're jumping over the bramble bushes, the last thing they want is for their dangly bits to get snagged on a big thorn. It's not nice. And as you can see, this particular environment has lots of sharp bits and lots of fire going on, and his first thought is going to be, no, I think I do want my crown jewels to be protected in this particular circumstance. So, yeah, no, put them clothes back on as quick as possible, I think. Right, all these buttons here are his actions, what he can do. I suppose we'll learn about those as we come across them. And he's been standing here for a while now, he's ready to go. And he's getting a bit worried that there's all this fire, it might blow up at any minute and he ought to do something. But me as a player, I noticed there's a turn-based option, which effectively freezes time. I could have done all that in frozen time and not wasted any in-game time at all. Now, I don't know what the point of turn-based outside of combat is. That's something I might learn at some point, but if I ever want to freeze time, if time is important, I can press this button and have a look around my inventory and UI and probably do things without wasting time. But anyway, back to real time. There's a little timer there. You can't go straight back into turn-based mode. That must be important for a reason. Let's start looking around.
Might still be stuck inside if we hadn't been attacked.
Now, I don't think there's anybody left
Someone else got out.
in any of these pods,
Press ahead.
but I will just double check.
Might be other survivors. Let's have a look. Wonder who was inside.
Right, and we've got a dead mind flayer here, so we'll loot them of some amethyst.
Dead.
It's a very cheap gem. It's a common starter gem. And then we'll have a look in this bit here, because this is amusing, this is. And this is probably going to be a theme of the game, is my guess. Being as Baldur's Gate is the sexualised D&D, and we've got a sort of penis-shaped bit of room here. A little alcove shaped like a penis. So, is it tempting us to look in there for something? But no, there doesn't seem to be anything in there. It was just probably an amusing Easter eggy type thing. Anyway, there's this trailing footpath that goes behind him, so let's have a look around here. Right, we can interact with these brine bulbs, which provide light. Now, me as a player, I'd want to bash them to find out what bashing them does, because they are bashable, and for no other reason. However, my character is quite happy that there's light in this environment, and he's a bit suspicious of what might happen if he bashes that. And he's got nothing against the light, so there's no reason for him to bash them, so he's not going to.
Lucky I made it out.
And nothing in that pod either. And we come up to a table here, and this is where we learn that the Alt button comes in useful, because there's actually some onyx on there that you probably wouldn't notice if you didn't press the Alt
Don't
button.
mind if I do.
And what doesn't come up in the Alt button, but is also there, is this rune stone. I'm probably going to miss loads of stuff in this game. We'll see how it goes. There we go.
Visions project into your mind. A nautiloid hurtling through the plains, resplendent with psionic energy.
Now, for my character, this is complete word salad. A bunch of weird words he hasn't really heard much before, and he's like, what? So he's going to listen again.
Visions project into your mind. A nautiloid hurtling through the plains, resplendent with psionic energy.
And it's like, oh, I get it. I'm envisaging that cutscene. So my character now has memories of what we've seen. We've got some fire in here. I have walked on fire in some previous episodes. Not episodes, previous attempts to get the first episode out. And yeah, I lost some health points. That would have been amusing, but I know now. So, and there's a chest here. Now, that thing that it just read out, that was word salad. And an issue I have with graphics, as graphics improve, and this has been the case, you know, going on for many years, not just recently, but the better graphics get, the more the graphics themselves sort of become a graphics salad, where they're so good that you can't really see where you're supposed to be walking or looking at. And it'd be very easy just to come up here, think, oh, there's nothing here, and then wander off back again. Completely not realising that, you know, in this particular area here, this section of grey-red art is distinct from the other grey-red art around it. You have to be standing right next to get the light on it to see it's even an object, a 3D object. And then you could highlight to get this to indicate there's something there. Or you could just click on it because you're clicking on everything. And yeah, that's a chest with some gold in it. And yeah, I mean, would I rather have crappy graphics and the ability to know exactly where I'm supposed to be going? Or would I rather have good graphics and be constantly confused about where I'm supposed to be going? I mean, the graphics probably win, don't they? I mean, in the long run, I just wish there was a way that there was a best of both worlds, really. Have I reached the bottom yet? No, I haven't. There we go. So that's that bit done. We've done the Mind Flayer body. We'll come up here because there's another chest hidden in the environment there. More gold and a bronze goblet. How exciting. Barbarians do like a goblet for swilling their booze from. And see, can't walk to there. It's sort of like your eyes have to quickly adapt to the reds and the greys, and oh, there's a gap there. But it suggests I can get up there, so this is probably a bit of verticality. Learn how to jump here. So this button here is the jump button. And there's some fire here. It looks like you can walk round it, but you can't. Oh dear, don't walk on it. And that's the problem, you see. You think you can walk round it, but you can't, then you walk on it. And let's jump over there. And we've now lost. Oh, there we go.
Not as bad as it could have.
And you'd think there'd be something round here. That looks like you can click on it, mate. You know, it's what is there some verticality I can interact with here? There's this thing, but I can interact with that downstairs. And no, this is just somewhere to practice with your jumping, I suppose. So let's jump back. Yeah. And we can also practice with this thing called dip here, which is a very Larian thing. Let's interact with our environment, dip our weapon in the fire, and we've now got a flaming sword, a flaming axe rather. That's nice, isn't it? And that likely stays active for a certain amount of time or rounds in combat, I don't know. But, putting it back in your backpack turns it off. Oh, it's gone already. Now how do I... Oh, he just automatically puts his axe away. You just have to wait a minute. There we go. So let's go back down here. And I think that's all for the sort of surroundings. Now we've got this thing. The nursery, which is destructible and interactable. I've interacted with it a billion times, and it has a dice roll here. What do they call them? A skill check, I suppose. And I've passed and failed it loads of times. Whichever way it goes this time, it doesn't matter. It's not very important. Doesn't do anything majorly of any relevance. So there we go.
This is the pool that thing came from. The parasite now writhing behind your eye.
And me as a player, I'm tempted to reach in just to find out what this button does. However, my character wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. He's had lots of experience in the wild where sticking your hand in things can get very messy very quickly. So he's like, no, I don't recognise what's going on here, so I'm not sticking my hand in that. But he will investigate, look a bit closer. Oh, and he does pass his roll this time. That's
The casing is fragile. The slightest touch could cause it to crumble.
So that's probably what happens when you reach in. It just breaks. Anyway, we're not going to do that because he's, as I said. However, what the character will do, because he's a barbarian, he's a bit raged up at the moment, he's not very happy. He's just had one of these things stuck in his eye. His first thought is to kick the crap out of it, so that's what he's going to do. And kablooey. It's always 3 hit points of damage when he does that, I've discovered that. And I'm still disappointed you don't get anything out of it, not even one little squidgy eye thing. It must have been booby trapped, you know. So, yeah, he's no longer raged anymore, though he's got his, he's released all his tension and anger at the thing that got shoved in his eye. And he can get on. But he's lost 3 hit points, but I discovered that this thing just puts them all back anyway. I don't know if we'll get these all through the game. It seems a bit cheaty to me. But maybe it's just for the first area or something, you know, so that they don't have players quitting because they're leaving with 1 hit point, having walked into the fire and blown that thing up, and I don't know all the other ways this area can probably ruin your hit point pool. Right, and yeah, this is it. This is the end of this particular area, the Sphincter. And what an exciting place to have a cliffhanger, I think, you know. Join me next time when we crawl through the Sphincter. Can't get any better than that, can you? Anyway, there we go. All that's left to do now is to save the game and get out of here.